I'm Liyana Hassanel, and this is Nightline, the headlines. Sarawak to be first state to administer booster shots. And 12th Malaysia Plan, time to look at needs and expectations. Good morning. At 11:30 later this morning, the Prime Minister is set to table the nation's 5-year development roadmap, the 12th Malaysia Plan. In line with the Malaysian family theme, the plan for 2021 to 2025 to be tabled by Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob is expected to prioritise the people's welfare, social protection and people-centred projects. The Malaysia Plan was first introduced in 1966. Since then, the government focuses on bridging the development gap between states, with more national expenditure to be distributed to develop less developed states. The COVID-19 pandemic that lasted since early last year had changed the pattern of government spending and shaping the future of the country, which was now more focused on post-pandemic developments for 5 years. The tabling of the 12th MP was postponed at least twice from the original date on August 6 last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic as well as change in the country's leadership landscape. Although new mega projects were no longer a priority, according to Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Economy, Datuk Seri Mustafa Mohamad, the government would focus on ongoing projects such as the Johor Bahru Singapore Rapid Transit System, RTS. He said new projects such as ports and airports that could help boost the country's economy would definitely be planned by the government in the annual budget once the country's economy recovers, which is expected in 2023. According to the official portal of the Economic Planning Unit, EPU, of the Prime Minister's Department, the 12th MP is the last part of the National Recovery Plan under the 6R approach, which is resolve, resilient, restart, recovery, revitalise and reform, which will build a solid foundation in shaping a high-tech and high-income country with equitable prosperity for the people. The Parliament calendar indicates that the 12th MP debate session will begin from September 28th to October 4th, before the winding up by the ministers. Joining us live now is Chief Economist, Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad, Dr. Muhammad Afzal Nizam Abdul Rashid. Welcome to Nightline, Doctor. What are the priorities of the 12th Malaysia Plan and why are they important?
Well, I think the main priorities obviously is to revive the economic growth because we have lost our time and resources due to the pandemic. I mean, the 11 nation plans has actually laid out the critical success factor to achieve economic growth between 4.5% to 5.5%. But little that we know, because the COVID-19 shocks happens in 2020, it actually brought down the economic growth to a contraction last year. So that essentially has actually affected some of the economic developments following the pandemic spread. So I think because we already in 2021 is actually part of the 5-year plan. So I think we need to accelerate our economic growth for the next 4 years up until 2025.
Can you tell us how those priorities can be achieved? For instance, challenges in delivery system and monitoring of implementation?
Well, I think we have, the government has actually laid out a very good plans in the past and we will continue to do so going forward. So I think what is more important now is actually to have a better coordination among the ministries and government agencies, and perhaps in respect to information sharing and also cutting the rate cap. So these are very critical in order to have a very effective implementation in every measures. And perhaps also for each KPI, it must be reviewed regularly in terms of the implementation and its impact to the economy. So I think it's more or less in terms of the administrative issues and ensuring that every policy thrust can be achieved in a timely manner.
Why do you think that the high-income nation target originally set for 2020 was a challenge to achieve?
Well, for one, I think, like I said in my earlier interviews, that the pandemic is actually happens, and no one actually knows it's going to happen. So that actually disrupt the 5 year plan under the 11 Malaysian plan. So in that sense, I think we need to be realistic in terms of the 12 Malaysian plans, because what we understand, because the pandemic, the recovery tend to be very tentative, and the situation can be very fluid. So I think the focus obviously to revive the economy. So there will be a lot of government resources will be directed towards achieving these objectives. But at the same time, we are continue to be mindful in terms of the achieving to have a more sustainable economic growth going forward, especially taking into account the long-term issues in respect to the labor markets and the attractiveness of our countries as an investment destination. So it's a combination of a short terms and also a medium plans that actually we need to have a very what we call that, a very realistic view in relation to the COVID-19 situation.
And what can be done to bridge the development gap between states?
Well, I think obviously we have an ongoing infrastructure projects like ECRL, Pan Borneo Highway. I think obviously we don't need a new mega projects. So what we need actually to speed up these existing infrastructure projects so that we can crystallize the positive impact it can have in terms of the bridging the gaps between the states. And we understand, like, ECRL, the main selling points, obviously, one of them is actually the land bridges between the Kuantan ports and Port Klang. So along this route, obviously, there will be a direct impact in terms of the infrastructure project. So what we need is to have these projects to be implemented as soon as possible.
What new areas of economic growth can be identified?
Well, I think we have clearly defined what we want to be and what are the key industry that we want to pursue. I must say that we are very good in a number of industries like electrical and electronics, rubber gloves, palm oil, renewable energy, and Islamic finance, among others. So perhaps we may want to rejuvenate perhaps one of key sectors like agriculture, because we have the right climate, we have the right resources. But again, if you look at the trade numbers, we continue to rely on import sources. So perhaps agriculture is also need to be rejuvenated along with other key industries. So I think agriculture could be one of the main consideration under the 12 Malaysian plans.
Thank you, Dr. Afzal Nizam. The 12th Malaysia Plan will somewhat be guided by the Shared Prosperity Vision 2030. What are the issues that need to be addressed comprehensively to enable the nation to transition into developed nation by 2030? And to answer this, we have geostrategist Azmi Hassan. Doctor?
Hi, Liyana.
Under the concept of no one will be left behind, what does it take for all Malaysians to achieve an enhanced standard of living by 2030?
Yes, one thing for sure, that the 12 Malaysia Plan will be aligned to the SPV 2030. And if you look at the most advanced nation, United States, most of European countries, they are very depending on SMEs in providing the job and also providing a very healthy GDP to the country. So I think the 12 Malaysia Plan should concentrate on SMEs. And as Dr. Afzal Nizam said just now, the pandemic created havoc on our economy, and this includes SMEs. So I think the key point is that we need to give incentive to SMEs so that there'll be more jobs to be created. Not only jobs to be created, but high quality jobs. That's the key point there, Liyana, so that we can achieve the high status or advanced country, Liyana.
What are the issues that need to be addressed comprehensively to enable the nation to transition into developed nation by 2030?
Yeah, one thing for sure, I just couldn't hear the question, but I think I got it right. I guess the question, if I hear it correct, one thing for sure is that balanced development in terms of between urban and rural need to be more balanced, not only between urban and rural, but also between states from Perlis, Sabah and Sarawak. I think these particular states, I think not only Perlis, Sabah, Sarawak, but also Kelantan, Terengganu and Kedah need to be concentrated since the Klang Valley, for example, Selangor and Kuala Lumpur contribute 40% to our GDP. And this is so very skewed. And the pandemic shows that we cannot concentrate on one place only. So I think the 12 Malaysia plan need to be balanced in terms of development, need to be concentrated more on these particular states that are lagging behind, Liyana.
Malaysia currently has an increasingly mature democratic society where socio-political landscape are challenging. How does the nation tackle social cohesion issues? In this context, how can the Malaysia family concept help propel Malaysia to greater heights?
Yeah, I think we are matured enough after 14 general election, Liyana. We can consider ourselves a matured democracy. And I think for the last few years, the turmoil in politics, I guess, shows again that the Malaysians are very matured enough. And Prime Minister Keluarga Malaysia, this is basically what Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said, that I'm a prime minister for all, not for those who support me, but for all. And I think the ball right now is on the opposition feet because the government has done its best. For example, MOU with Pakatan Harapan, the opposition, and I think the opposition also need to play their part so as to demonstrate our maturity in politics. The opposition cannot only criticize without helping the government. I think this is the best time, especially during the pandemic. Both sides of the divide, the government, the opposition, need to help each other so that the people can appreciate what is happening, what is being done by the politician, Liyana.
Thank you so much for your time.
Melakar semula landscape sosioekonomi fasa endemik COVID-19 ke arah transformasi digital. Persekitaran lestari memulihkan ekonomi menuju 2025. Saksikan program khas Pembentangan Rancangan Malaysia ke-12. Isnin 27 September 11 pagi hanya di TV3.
Up to 3.6 million households will receive their financial aid in stages beginning Tuesday. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the payout involving 2.82 billion ringgit will be credited into the recipients' accounts in stages from Tuesday and expected to conclude by September 30th. The recipients include existing recipients of the Bantuan Perhatian Rakyat BPR Keluarga Malaysia Phase 3, as well as those who had appealed for the BPR. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said for Phase 3, each recipient will receive up to 1,400 ringgit, while those who appealed for BPR will get up to 2,300 ringgit, including an additional BPR payment under the Pemerkasa Plus program with up to 500 ringgit. This is based on their respective eligibility according to their marital status, household income, and number of children. The Phase 3 payment is the full disbursement of the balance, which was supposed to be received by the BPR recipients and those who appealed for BPR to ease their burden. He said detailed explanation of the BPR Phase 3 payout will be made by Finance Minister Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz, and several other forms of cash assistance, such as Bantuan Khas COVID-19 and the loss of income aid, will also be channeled to qualified recipients from October to December this year. Sarawak is set to be the first state to administer COVID-19 vaccine booster shots to priority groups beginning next month. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said at the moment the ministry were still in the process of preparing the clinical guidelines on the implementation of the booster dose program. Speaking at a media conference after a special meeting on the National COVID-19 Immunization Program and Pandemic Management with the Sarawak State Disaster Management Committee in Kuching on Sunday, he said among matters being looked at is whether a recipient will receive the same type as their first 2 doses or if they will receive a different but more suitable type.
Dos penggalak ini kita akan mula pada bulan Oktober apabila kita dah siap dengan garis panduan dan juga clinical guidelines, garis panduan clinical untuk booster dose. So Sarawak will be one of the first states to start with the booster dose program because they were one of the first states to finish the vaccination program.
He added that the program will focus on the high-risk groups aged 60 and above, as well as those with serious comorbidities, as they are the ones who make up the majority who suffer from serious COVID-19 symptoms in hospitals and might require treatment in intensive care units. The country needs quality able young generation to lead the country in the future. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah said this in a speech during a royalty with the Malaysian community at the Malaysian High Commission in London on Friday. He also called upon students, entrepreneurs and association leaders to raise the name of Malaysia so that the country continues to be respected. Haliza Hashim reports from London.
The arrival of Yang di-Pertuan Agong and Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Hajah Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria was received by the Malaysian High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Zakri Jaafar, and wife Nur Aini Abdul Rahman. 60 Malaysians attended the event, including entrepreneurs, professionals, student leaders, association presidents and heads of departments from the Malaysian High Commission in Belgrave Square, London.
Baik student ataupun usahawan-usahawan atau profesional dapat menaikkan nama Malaysia supaya negara Malaysia ini dapat dihormati seperti sedia kala. Kita walaupun kita dapat macam-macam berita ya di sana di balik di negara kita, tetapi janganlah percaya 100%. No countries in the world today is a perfect country. That applies to any government for that matter.
The King and Queen spent a couple of hours meeting the Malaysian diaspora while having tea. Also present were 5 Malaysian students under the Yang di-Pertuan Agong scholarships.
Motivation to actually finish this PhD I'm in, and inshallah will come back and go back and serve the country, inshallah.
The whole thing was so surreal, man. Like, I had a lot of fun, and honestly, he was pretty funny actually. Pretty funny, very chill guy. He asked all of us like what we're studying, where we're from, and stuff like that, and like encouraged us to go back to Malaysia to work after we finish our studies, which I think it's most likely what I will be doing at least.
It was very nice that Agong macam relate balik pada hari Malaysia, where tak kisah di mana pun kita berada, dekat UK ke dekat Malaysia. sebagai Malaysian, kita have to stick together. Kita kena bersatu hati. I think that's a good reminder for Malaysians worldwide.
The visit signifies Their Majesty's concern for the well-being of Malaysians abroad, especially during this challenging pandemic period. Their Majesties are on a special visit to the UK for 10 days, starting September 17th. Alisa Hashim, TV3, London.
After the break, 6 fined for crossing state lines to holiday on Redang Island. Many businesses have suffered badly since the beginning of the pandemic, with many sectors reopening and most of them being allowed to operate from 6 a.m. to 12 a.m. daily. It is hoped that this will help to gradually improve the country's economic recovery and the livelihoods of the people. Many of those met believe that the new operating hours can help ease people to carry out business operations and their daily routines. Hakim Azman has the details.
According to Federation of Malaysia Business Association Chairman Dato' Abdul Malik Abdullah, the business sector has been suffering badly since the pandemic first hit the country. He added that with the relaxation granted by the government, the country's economy will improve as people start to trade again, and it would not only help the economy but also will improve the ringgit.
There is going to be a big impact, a huge impact when businesses resume again and people get back to their normal lives and people start spending money again and the economy starts to move and there'll be a chain reaction. It trickles down right to the man on the street.
Many of those met believe that with the reopening of more business sectors, it will gradually improve the situation of those who are in the affected economy sectors. However, the public must comply with the current SOPs in order to restrain the COVID-19 chain.
What the government is doing right now is a good thing for many businessmen out there. Not only business, for the rakyat as well.
Jadi kalau sektor dah buka semua tempat ni, bolehlah juga orang kata senanglah juga untuk cari pendapatan kata dari segi bekerja atau berniaga.
Dapat menjana pendapatan semua sektor. So dari sini kita nampak boleh menjana kembali ekonomi yang selama ini kita dah tahu down selama ini.
Ekonomi penting sebab kalau ekonomi kita kukuh, investor akan berminat untuk invest dekat negara kita. So penting untuk kukuhkan ekonomi.
The reopening of more business sectors will not only help in speeding up the country's economic recovery, but also give the people the opportunity to turn their life around for the better. Despite the relaxation granted by the government, people are still advised to strictly abide by the SOPs at all times, or the efforts by the government will be in vain. Hakim Azman, from Nightline, TV3.
In Kelantan, an army personnel and his ex-fiancée were charged at the Kota Baru Session Court on Sunday on charges of intentionally aborting a 5-month-old fetus 2 years ago. 20-year-old Dayang Nur Juliana Johari, however, pleaded not guilty, while Muhammad Nasaruddin Hashim, 26, pleaded guilty when the charge was read out to them before Judge Ahmad Bazli Bahruddin. According to the charge, both the accused had used a mifepristone pill on May 22, 2019, with the intention of preventing a 5-month-old fetus from being born alive, or to cause the fetus to die after birth. The court set October 27th for remention of the case. In Terengganu, 6 individuals, including a woman, were issued compound notices of 5,000 ringgit each for crossing state borders for holiday to Pulau Redang. Terengganu Police Chief DCP Datuk Rohaimi Mat Isa said the compound notices were issued to the 6 aged between 32 and 47 in an integrated operation over the past 2 days. He said 2 of them had crossed state borders from Kuala Lumpur, 2 others from Selangor, while the other 2 were from Pulau Pinang and Melaka, respectively. Datuk Rohaimi said stern action would also be taken against resort operators who ignored the SOPs. Still to come on Nightline, airport reopens as La Palma volcano lava slows down its speed. In the U.S., at least 3 people died on Saturday and some passengers were injured after an Amtrak train derailed in north-central Montana. According to officials, the incident occurred when 8 cars of the Empire Builder train, which had about 141 passengers and 16 crews aboard, derailed near the town of Joplin at about 4 p.m. local time. The 10-car train with 2 locomotives had departed from Chicago and was bound for Seattle. People trapped aboard soon after the derailment have all been taken off the train. Multiple injuries were reported, but no final count was given. The cause of the incident was not immediately clear, and the National Transportation Safety Board said late on Saturday it will investigate the incident. The airport on the Spanish island of La Palma reopened on Sunday, and authorities allowed some evacuated residents to collect belongings from their homes as an erupting volcano's lava flow slows its speed. The island's government said so far there had been no significant incidents with the volcano since Saturday, when part of the crater collapsed, creating another river of lava. Spanish Airport Authority, Liyana, tweeted that La Palma Airport was operational again after closing on Saturday due to a heavy fall of volcanic ash. The volcano on La Palma, which is part of the volcanic Canary Islands of Northwest Africa and is home to about 85,000 people, erupted on September 19th. The prompt evacuations of more than 6,000 people helped avoid casualties, but scientists say the eruption could last for up to 3 months. Sports. Hoffenheim fought back from a goal down to beat Wolfsburg 3-1, leaving Bayern Munich 3 points clear in the Bundesliga standings. The Wolves look to be on track for another win when Riddelbaku's sensational shot from 20 meters put them ahead in the 25th minute. Hoffenheim leveled the score on the stroke of halftime via Andre Kramaric, before Christoph Baumgartner drilled the second goal in the 74th minute, was left unmarked at the far post to power in a header. Pavel Kaderabek made sure of the 3 points 9 minutes from time, scoring on the rebound after a free kick had bounced off the post. With Italy's tourism industry gradually clawing its way back after a long lull due to COVID, entrepreneur Antonio Martini has been offering visitors a different way to see the country via aerial experience. Let's take a look as we wrap up Nightline this time around. With that, I'm Hassanel. Thank you for watching and stay safe, Malaysia.